Hello, my name is Al Sagin, and I'm the project leader for a virtual online operating system called Dwel. In this presentation, I'll explain why we need a virtual online operating system and what problems it is meant to solve. Then I'll describe what Dwel is and how it works. As you know, there is a network of interconnected data centers all around the world, which we call the Internet or the cloud. And these big fat data centers in the cloud belong to the big fat internet companies. And through these data centers, these companies provide us with online services which have become essential to us, namely services for data management, communication, social interaction, and commerce. While these services have considerably streamlined and improved our lives, they've also introduced a number of problems with regards to our privacy, personal data ownership, and our freedom of online activities. What causes these problems is that the majority of online services are based on a centralized platform model, meaning that there is a single source for software and data, and we, the end users, access those through our devices. The centralized model allows the internet companies to monitor our activities and influence our behavior. They analyze our data to determine our buying habits. They arbitrarily enable or disable features of their software to suit their needs. They suppress some pieces of information and promote others, subtly shaping our worldview in their favor. As time goes by, their influence on us becomes more and more pervasive, and as long as we continue to use their platforms, we are powerless to do anything about it. The centralized model, however, is not the only way that the online services can be facilitated. There is, for example, the decentralized model, recently championed by the blockchain companies. This model replaces one centralized platform with multiple redundant, non-authoritative copies, which prevents any one entity from dictating terms to everyone else. While the decentralized model is undoubtedly an improvement on the autocratic centralized model, it fails to give ordinary people any real control over their data and online activities. There are many competing frameworks created under this model that lock the user into particular service providers and their proprietary networks. It can be argued that this model in itself is unnecessarily complex and inefficient, and in fact creates the opposite problem to the centralized model, insofar that no one is fully in charge and there is no one to appeal to when things go wrong. While the benefits and the shortcomings of this model can be debated, fortunately, there is another, much simpler model which comes the closest to the ideals of privacy, data ownership, and self-determination for ordinary people. It is called the distributed model, and it has the potential to largely liberate us from dependence on the various big brothers, whether centralized or decentralized. The decentralized model presupposes that all individuals, as well as social and commercial entities, own and operate their own individual online platforms, and that these individual platforms are able to freely interact with one another without the need for any central authority. So what exactly is this individual online platform? Basically, it's an integrated software package that consists of a number of apps joined by a common framework. In other words, an operating system. This operating system must include apps for data management, because we all need somewhere to store and organize our data, apps for communication, apps for productivity, for social interaction, and apps for commerce, because we need to be able to engage in trade as both buyers and sellers. These are the essential basic needs that are common to all individuals and social and commercial entities. And an operating system that fulfills all these needs would provide everyone with the tools and the means to manage their own affairs online, without having to rely on the big fat internet companies or the slightly less big and fat blockchain networks. So we propose to create just such an operating system. We call it Online Dwellings, or Dwel for short. The name comes from the notion that this operating system will facilitate our online activities, much like the physical dwellings such as homes, offices, and shops facilitate our activities in real life. To give the end users as much power and control as possible over their own software and data, we propose to build Dwel using the most widely available free and open source framework called the LAMP stack. The LAMP stack constitutes the most basic online infrastructure and is widely supported all over the world. This means that Dwel could be hosted in any of the thousands of independent data centers, freeing us from dependence on the big fat internet companies. What's more, since Dwel could be easily moved from one host to another, we'll be free from dependence on any particular service provider altogether. Hosting the Dwel in the cloud as opposed to a home computer will also free us from dependence on our devices and having to maintain a home network. If you lose your phone or your laptop, you can simply pick up another one and continue accessing your apps and data from anywhere in the world. Of course, keeping private data outside one's personal devices is cause for privacy and security concerns, so let's address those right away. All data in Dwel, including regular files and databases, will be encrypted with a unique key known only to you. This means that no one else will have access to your data, not even the data center employees or any potential hackers. Similarly, all Dwel-to-Dwel communications will be made private due to a formal secure connection process that must be established between any two Dwels. To establish such a connection, Dwel-A must generate a unique encryption key and send it to Dwel-B as a part of a connect request. If the owner of Dwel-B accepts the connection, Dwel-B will generate a unique key of its own and send it to Dwel-A. From this point on, all interactions between the two Dwels will be encrypted with the two unique keys and therefore be completely private. This ability to securely and privately connect to other Dwels means that each Dwel becomes a part of its own secure private network, and messages, posts, and transactions can be privately exchanged between the members of these networks. Once you become a part of a network, you may allow other members some limited access to the apps in your Dwel. This way they'll be able to read your posts, use your calendar to make bookings, buy items you've listed for sale, and so on. Similarly, you may have access to the apps in their Dwels, allowing you to interact and cooperate with your network in many different ways. For example, you may write a blog or a social media post in your Dwel and invite your network to read it. They, in turn, may post their replies back in your Dwel. This ability to provide a carefully controlled access to the apps in a Dwel means that a Dwel can be used for virtually any purpose. For instance, a Dwel may be dedicated to publishing a blog by a single influencer or a subject matter expert. Or it can be used to run a magazine or a newspaper-style publication, allowing multiple people to post their content. In fact, any group of people, be that a family, a meetup group, an association, or a club, could run a Dwel to facilitate their communal activities. Similarly, commercial organizations of all sizes, from small businesses to corporations, could use dedicated Dwels to facilitate their business activities. A Dwel can serve as an online shop where you sell your own products or services, or it can be opened up to several vendors to post their products and services, effectively turning it into an online mall. A person may operate any number of Dwels dedicated to various purposes and be able to control them from their own personal Dwel. Dwel will be easy to operate and easy to maintain. In your own Dwel, you'll be able to store files and organize documents. You'll be able to call, text, email, or chat with other Dwel owners in your network. You'll be able to create and share calendars, start and coordinate projects, run your own social media channels, or participate in others. You'll be able to engage in all sorts of business activities, such as buying and selling of products and services. And no one, not Apple, not Google, not Microsoft, not Meta, not any government organization, no one will be privy to your data or your activities and be able to capitalize on them. All interactions will be strictly between you and the other Dwel owners you're connected with. The global network of Dwells will create a self-managed ecosystem that will challenge the business models of several giant online corporations. It will allow ordinary people to take charge of their own software, their own personal data, and their own online activities. If you like the idea of Dwell but wondering how we propose to monetize it, there are several revenue streams that can be created by providing Dwell owners with various supplementary services. One example will be the facilitation of financial transactions between Dwells. To this end, we'll operate special banking Dwells in which other Dwell owners can operate accounts and deposit funds. These banking Dwells will then facilitate all financial transactions between other Dwells, eliminating the need for the more traditional ways of payment. Other financial and non-financial services can be provided to Dwell owners, creating additional revenue streams. So if you like the idea of Dwell and would like to take part in its creation, get in touch and let's get started. Thank you.